Roman Reigns is medically cleared. The biggest name in WWE that isn't Brock Lesnar is back in action this Friday on SmackDown. Massive news from AEW's big jump to TBS, plus WWE heading back to Saudi Arabia for another major money show. This and so much more news on today's Sportskeeda Wrestling Top Story.
Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out!
Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out! Yes, the big dog is back, baby. If you're with us for the first time, go ahead and share that link. You stink it in the comments below and get on screen in the conversation. A three-headed Cerberus of fun. That's a mythical dog that has three heads. If you don't know what that is, you don't have to Google it. I saved you a click. We have a lot to cover here today. We have Jeremy Bennett in Nebraska, if you ask you. We have Jose G down in Florida. And of course, that's shaped like a certain part of the male anatomy. All right, got all my lame bets in. I'm Kellam. Roman Reigns is back in action, guys. Roman Reigns, the big dog, is 1 week over COVID. He is medically cleared was the term that was stated here. So this means he was testing within the protocol. We heard he must have tested twice clear 2 consecutive days in a row. So maybe they got him on the tail end of this and he was asymptomatic. We don't know how serious it was. We don't know if they'll limit what he does getting back in the ring. And you have awful comments like this. I'll get right into this.
Oh no!
Okay.
Come on,
Ricky.
Come on, Ricky. You know better.
Ricky, you know better. You know better. So Ricky texting you saying, it was a work, shaking my head. I understand where wrestling fans always think they're smarter than what they're saying. They always have to be ahead of what's on television, right? This is a case of, I don't think you get it. I don't think you get it in this circumstance. So no, I do not believe that it was a work. I do not believe Roman Reigns would miss a match that was advertised on pay-per-view for months and months and months and months and months and months and months, just to do something else. I don't think that's the case. And all of our sources indicate that it is not. Ricky is once again doubling down, saying it was. Ricky, you don't know that. You really don't know that. He's
trolling you. You're falling right into his trap, Kevin.
Ricky, do you also like the Birds Aren't Real Facebook page? Do you come on, man. Come on, dude. Like we've talked to people that are very, very familiar with this situation, who reported on it, who are aware of it. WWE stated it. Roman Reigns stated it. It's not a work. It's not a work. All right? It's not a work. It's silly. Stephen Chambers saying, great to hear that Roman is medically cleared. I wonder who will face Roman at the Rumble. Only scenario I can think of is to have Big E move to SmackDown to face Roman. Well, you really have to ramp Big E back up as he lost the title clean, and then lost kind of like the number one contender match that followed up on Monday Night Raw. It'll be interesting to see how this all plays out. They are advertising some type of confrontation between Brock Lesnar, the new WWE champion, and Roman, and that's something they've been building up to for months. And then we have this other thing that's already set, this massively anticipated dream match that's now a reality with Lesnar and Lashley. What are you doing here, Jeremy? How do you make this all work? Friday Night SmackDown seems like it's going to be a very interesting show this week.
I would love to see Big E get traded to SmackDown and reunite the New Day. That's for sure, because you can still push Big E with the New Day. There was no reason to have to separate them in order to push one, because look what it worked with Kofi before. So you didn't have
we got breaking news. Sorry to interrupt both of you. We got breaking news. This time it's real breaking news. Fightful is reporting that Samoa Joe has been released again.
This is in the wave of WWE NXT releases that we've gotten. And this week, these follow up more that fell yesterday. The awful release of William Regal, along with many, many respected names that have been a part of the WWE Performance Center and the WWE NXT management as a whole. Several people let go. We now learn that Samoa Joe, who had taken on a role after getting released earlier this year, early in 2020, I'm still saying this year, and then immediately hired back as a performer/coach in NXT, and would have a role post-wrestling as a coach there. And that was a Triple H move. Now it seems like anyone who's a Triple H guy getting the axe here. We can't even finish a story here, Jeremy, before we hear some more unfortunate news.
Yeah, apparently Fightful Select will have more on it. We'll see if if we're still on the air when they drop that news. We'll keep an eye on that. But yeah, I mean, geez.
Never stops, man. This is so unfortunate, man. You know, it was really tough on everyone when he was released that first time. The second time he was doing a lot more backstage stuff, helping with the training, a lot of the tryout stuff, scouting new talent, recruiting new people into the WWE. So that was his position now. But again, this kind of falls in line into everything that's been reported about this Triple H era of hirees being let go.
And with Jamie's comment here, is this a dig versus him? There are reports that this is some kind of revenge thing that we don't know about against Triple H. I've seen that report on Fightful. I think it was Fightful or Wrestling Inc., one of the two today, that there is some sort of revenge against Triple H cutting all these guys, and without any there's no reasoning behind it, but it is crazy that basically everybody he hired, well, I mean, most of this was yesterday, especially with like today we learned Gabe Sapolsky got released as well, who ran
former
Evolve.
head of Ring of Honor. He started Evolve, and then he was kind of merged into the WWE because Evolve had a big working relationship with WWE for a long time.
So basically, a lot of people that Triple H hired to build NXT are getting cut, and people that he hired to maintain NXT, like Samoa Joe, now cut.
Here we go. Kim Gray, big supporter of the show. Thank you so much, Kim. I have a question. Is Triple H completely hands off right now due to the medical issue he had? Yeah, he had a heart issue and was operated on months ago. As far as we know, he's back in the loop. We don't know how much he is. You know, he did make media rounds for the Next in Line program, which he's been big into, which is WWE's recruiting program specifically with college athletes. So basically, college athletes before they even get out of college sign a commitment to WWE in some form. They can even go to the NFL. One of them could potentially go to the NFL, but they get kind of like sponsored in that role by WWE. And if they want to go to WWE is the first crack at them as well. So it's interesting to see how this plays out. I don't know if this is a shot at Triple H, because I'll say this. He's still deeply involved in everything else going on with WWE. He's still in the executive brass of WWE. I don't think he's going to get released. I do think there's some people that are Teflon from this, like a Shawn Michaels, hopefully. But
we thought Road Dogg was too, and Road Dogg was,
and we thought William Regal was. So I don't mind eating my words on that later on here. But you see Samoa Joe here, like, I think this is just part of that hard reset for NXT in general. I don't know if that's a shot at Triple H. But this is more of a hard reset. It's got to be hard for him to hear that if he hires these people, I think that's reasonable. I think that's human to process. And he put a lot into NXT as a black and gold brand, but it's evolved from that, and it has been for months. And it needed to some degree. I'm not saying that it needed to be this, though, right? And I do think of anything in NXT, what suffered the most in the pandemic, I'm going to say it's NXT. Because that show stayed, before the pandemic, stayed in, it stayed in Orlando. And when if they had the opportunity to bring it out of Orlando, get it on the road and make it something different during the Wednesday War, they didn't have that option. We were in a pandemic. It wasn't going to happen. I do think it's one of those shows that has suffered from that. And then at the same time, it's a developmental show. So you're not leaning on massive mainstream popular names. You're leaning on all these different things of developing stars. So who have we developed? What WrestleMania main eventer have we gotten in the last 2 years from them? They lost to AEW. So you have to, I hate to say, you have to reevaluate some things, and I don't know if that's reflective of the people that go who are immensely talented and deserve a spot in the industry.
And going into our second story, that's where I got the information from, was that second story actually came from PW Insider. He thinks, Mike Johnson thinks it could be a revenge thing for the fact that they did lose the Wednesday Night Wars and had to move to Tuesday.
But if you're in their position when you come in and make those same cuts, it's not unlogical, Yeah, if you guys lost that type of battle, and you're a publicly traded company, you're still making money hand over fist because of these massive TV deals. But the one thing that people can look at and say, market equation to somebody else, and that came up was this. So
Mike Johnson,
I'm not defending it. I'm just looking at the logic.
I'm saying, and Mike Johnson's a pretty reputable source and has a lot of contacts within the company. He says he's not sure whether it's a revenge deal, but he has clearly lost a great deal of power within the company.
Okay, that's that. You can see that from the outside end, So certainly interesting to see how this goes on here. Samoa Joe let go. Just a bumpy road for him in WWE. Lots of injuries. Had a role on commentary that kind of moved him from that. Concussions, shoulder injuries, different things that kept him off there. Really only got to have like one serious WrestleMania run, which was short and brief, but got to do some big stuff with Brock Lesnar. Wasn't the worst. I mean, it seemed like he was going to be a WWE lifer to some degree. He was going to be with him for at least into his senior years. And then you have this. It's worth noting all these people can make their way back in the company. You know, we just heard that last week that Petey Williams, who's a veteran wrestler who was on television with Impact for a long time, got a producing role, you know? And so
but Joe's already been cut and then brought back. I don't think he's getting brought back a third time.
Who knows? They did it with Goldust.
You never know.
How many times have they brought back Goldust? How many times has Fit Finley's been in and out of the company a couple times as a producer, you know? So,
but never released from their contract. They just left the company.
So. Oh no, Fit got fired. like there's people who've been fired and got brought back, you know. It's not undoable, and it's also the status of what the company wants to spend on managing people too, and what they want to spend on talent. Those come in waves, you know. And maybe there's a day when, all right, we got to make this a more hardcore brand and stuff like that, and we're going to go into that. And that's a wave. They're going to ride the wave and go where the wave tells them to go, where they feel it needs to go. They spend a lot of money looking at all this stuff all the time just to see where they spend their money. So I'm not defending it. It's sad. It sucks. It blows.
It does, man. Let's move on to another story, man, because this is just getting sad. But this might cheer some people up, but it might piss some people off. Goldberg is back in the news, guys. Goldberg is talking about possibly having more matches after his contract ends. He had a recent interview with Sports Illustrated, and he's just talking about that he's focused on what's next. If they want me to come back, speaking about WWE, we'll talk. So I think the possibility is there. We reported a few weeks ago that Goldberg does need to have some type of surgery on his shoulder. However, he said himself that he's going to be waiting until he's done with his contract so he can get that taken care of. So I would assume it'll be some point after he gets that shoulder taken care of. Maybe we see one or two more matches out of the WCW icon. What do you guys think of this story?
Goldberg's a big attraction. You know, I know there's a camp online that really doesn't like Goldberg, but Goldberg is a big attraction to a lot of casual fans. He is one of those names that is working from the Attitude Era in a featured status. And when he has come back, he has played big roles in big matches, whether anyone wants to admit that or not. We understand he had this one match left on the contract. He needs to have a shoulder surgery. He's in his 50s. Still looks great. I mean, he still moves very good, but Goldberg has always been Goldberg. He's never going to be a 5-star classic guy. He's going to be Goldberg and still be fun for the crowd that likes him. I think Goldberg's going to do something big at WrestleMania, but we also understand we may have a big Saudi Arabia show, and he's always been featured prominently on those. Mm-hmm. So it'll be interesting to see where they play the card here with this final match. Then he goes away for surgery and potentially maybe doesn't have another match with them again. It's still up in the air. WWE may say like, hey, you're this age. We've gotten as much as we can out of you and you've had fun with us. And we've done these select matches with you. And now we're going to,
it'd be fun. It would be fun. If Goldberg, kind of rides the sunset out of WWE and has a really short stint on AEW, just because of the history with WCW, TBS, TNT. I think that would be very telling, very cool if we can have just one little short run with Goldberg and AEW, have him mix it up with the guys over there, and then right into the sunset. We don't see you ever again.
So, Jeremy, you're next.
Oh, am I? Shit. Yep. A lot of people got annoyed with every time he'd come back, he'd get in the title picture. But he has left the WWE at a positive note. A lot of people raving the match with Bobby Lashley, thought it was very solid. So now that he's kind of on that more of a good graces in general, I think he feels like, hey, I could still put together some more matches. Let's add a few more to the deal. So I wouldn't be surprised if he wrestles at it could be a Royal Rumble. I doubt it though. He'll probably come back at Saudi in February and then add on to his deal, do a new deal, and then wrestle at WrestleMania and see what goes on from there.
Certainly. I mean, the guy's a WrestleMania attraction. You have 2 nights of WrestleMania. We have the Saudi Arabia show we'll talk about here in a minute as well. But where do you play that trip if he just has one match left? He needs the shoulder surgery. He said he's going to work through this match and still do it, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't seem like it's that big of a deal. But what if he also like, it's like, all right, this shoulder, you get this done, you're done. You know, you're in your 50s, that type of thing too.
That's why I'm saying he probably extends the deal now and doesn't do the shoulder until 2023.
True, but I also, the attraction of Goldberg is he has to have matches and get physical. He can't. It's not like an Undertaker thing. Yeah. Undertaker could come out, just do a choke slam, just be the character, and you can have your fun cameos with the Undertaker to, you know, be a fun add-on to shows. If the Undertaker showed up and did that, people would be like, cool, and they know he wouldn't be a really active part of storylines. Goldberg is a character. He comes in, does a loop, does a run. You know, the match he had with Lashley, actually, the last one they did at Crown Jewel, thought it was good. It was a fun match.
Yeah.
It wasn't the best match of the world, but it was fun.
It was really good. It was good. And it was
good for him, too. You know?
Yeah, pretty lengthy, too. It was a lot longer than anybody expected. It went about 12 minutes. And it was a good match overall.
Yeah, Travis Lance saying this. He wants this one. This is one Big E has said that he wants as well. Big E just dropped that WWE Championship. Give him his dream match with Goldberg. Give him his dream match. Big meanie men slapping meat. Let's see it. Meanie men slapping meat at Mania. Come on, man. Let's do it. And then other people saying this one. We've heard about this. Can we have Roman versus Goldberg? Roman versus Goldberg was supposed to happen at WrestleMania 35. That's when Roman pulled himself out with the first wave of the pandemic when it was very, very serious. Could that still be a match that WWE wants to do? Is that how you want to play the chip here with Goldberg? Or do you want to hold it off for WrestleMania? It's very interesting what you do with Goldberg right now because it's so specific.
How crazy would it be? Brock shows up on Friday and goes, I brought somebody for you. And out comes Goldberg aligned with Brock Lesnar on SmackDown.
Goldberg with Heyman? Goldberg? No, but I mean, that means he's with Heyman then.
To start a feud with Roman for Crown Jewel or Super Showdown or whatever the hell you're going to call that February show.
That would be.
It's a stretch. It's a stretch, but it would be interesting.
It would be. It's definitely a stretch, but I think that would be very captivating. Like people would be like, "What the hell, Goldberg with Paul?"
Those two aligned. Like, how? Yeah, people would be talking if Goldberg and Lesnar aligned.
And then other people feeling this AEW move that you're making there. I
think it makes sense, dude. Just because.
I don't think he's feeling it. I think he's laughing at it.
But you know what I mean? Hey, it would certainly come on. All the WCW marks would lose their mind to see Goldberg back on TBS.
Absolutely, dude. Absolutely, and that's the whole point, right? To appease that that real strong WCW base, which is what AEW is. But let's jump into this AEW story because Tony Khan had a really interesting interview, and Fightful's reporting that he jokingly.
Is it interesting? Or is it just shit talking?
It could be shit talking, but can you imagine like a legit documentary on the Wednesday Night War where AEW went 74-1 in this? I mean, I just thought that this was hilarious that he just brought this up. Always never misses a chance to take a dig at NXT in the Wednesday Night War.
Hey, and the one is with the company right now. So the one That's was true. Adam Cole. So I don't think it's going to happen, but it's kind of funny to say that just to stir that tribalism pot.
It is worth noting, tip of the cap to Cultaholic, another camp that makes great wrestling content. They do a show called War Stories, which is about the conflicts between different wrestling promotions.
Did you say conflicts with a K?
I did not intend that.
Conflicts?
I did not intend
You did not get that past
I heard that too. I heard
that went
that
over
too,
my head.
You did not get that past us, Kevin.
I'm clever. Honestly, I did not mean to do that.
Con.
Hey, Kevin, are you trying to con us?
They dropped a new episode. I haven't watched it yet about specifically the Wednesday Night War and how AEW came out ahead, and now NXT just basically has to reinvent itself from the ground up again. I don't know. I mean, it's Khan. It was out there doing the media rounds. He appeared on WGN television. He appeared on a couple of different regional news stations to promote this jump to TBS. This is something that I was surprised that All Elite Wrestling kind of waited until like the last week and a half to promote, but they kind of knew where the number was going to land. They were hopeful where they would land. We'll get into the rating here in a minute, but this move to TBS is another sign that Warner really trusts that deal. And it was part of the last deal they signed at the end of 2020, which was still in the middle of the deal they had currently. So you're going to have this on television for a couple more years. And he's also been open about we're trying to find a home for additional streaming content. I've been saying it. The next big thing that I want to hear from Tony Khan's mouth is HBO Max or Netflix.
HBO Max.
And HBO Max does not have a live portal, but you can launch it. You know, you could. That's a turnkey operation. You know, $50 for a pay-per-view, I know, is something you can still get boxing fans to buy into, and you get UFC fans to buy into. But if you really want to say that you're beating WWE,
again,
come in and do a better premium live event. You know,
at least they're not
in terms of presentation, in terms of access and interface with fans.
Well, see, that's the thing. AEW has pay-per-views. WWE has premier live events because they're on Peacock.
I get it, but I mean, everyone knows. Yeah, semantics. Yeah,
but at least AEW, it's only 4 times a year. They're not charging you $50 12 times a year to watch a pay-per-view. So
they have no problem charging people on Fight Plus to watch it without commercials internationally. You know what I mean? They have no problem doing that type of stuff, and I don't blame them. Fans want that type of thing. There's a demand for it. My thing is, get with the times. Like get this thing on a streaming service that makes it work. Wrestling fans through WWE Network for the last 6-7 years are conditioned to subscription window type stuff. And you can still do pay-per-view, but if you told me, oh yeah, we're gonna have pay-per-view and Battle of the Belts is gonna be a 3-hour show that we're also gonna have on HBO Max, and then we're gonna have a pay-per-view here and there, I'd be okay with that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. They like everyone's, oh, it's cool. The big thing, they do long-term storytelling. Of course they do long-term storytelling. They don't have a pay-per-view every month. Mm-hmm. You know, WWE has fans built on the idea of they want a pay-per-view every month.
I wonder what will be easier too, because you have to reconfigure HBO Max because they don't have a live portal. You know, what if they just do their own thing like through Warner Media, but they just do their own thing, kind of like the network did originally. The WWE Network went through the same people that created the MLB.TV app. Mm-hmm. So you know what's to say that AEW just doesn't go on their own route and do that instead? I think that might be that might be more feasible than an HBO Max. Whoa.
Go ahead, guys.
Cops are after
the block's hot.
Block's hot, bro.
Go ahead, buddy.
That's what happens when you live in the south side of Chicago, Kevin.
It's technically I'm northwest side, but hey, once you're south side, you're always south side. South side till I die.
South side.
Go ahead, guys. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, this is a very interesting story, man. I just think that people are always gonna find a way to bash WWE. Yep. And Tony Khan does it every single week. He doesn't do it directly, he'll do it indirectly, but the tribalism is just out of control, man.
It makes my eyes roll. You know, it just makes my eyes roll at this point.
Give me your best eye roll, Kevin.
There we go.
Put that in a GIF and put it on Twitter.
There you go. Go back to download the show. Download the show and just get me going.
You went full Undertaker.
I can't do the Undertaker thing. If I could, I'd be a popular guy, you know. But no, that's just my take. The next thing I want to hear from Tony Khan is we have a cool streaming deal. Not, hey, I want to say something mean about another rich guy. You know, like that type of stuff. I mean, Tony's been saying a lot recently. Tony's been saying a lot recently, you know, and I admire him, but you know, he's been kicking the can in other people's directions. That Ted Turner comment,
getting eyes on the product, man. That's his job.
The whole swole thing, you know, like so. It's just this. It's a lot.
He wakes up every morning. How can I alter and piss off the internet wrestling community today? That's what he does every morning.
And then you got people doing damage control for you. So it's like, I mean, I'm not decrying the guy. He's changed the industry. He's changed the industry.
Oh, absolutely. Credits due where credits due.
Credits due what's credits due. But I mean, the same things that like drive you crazy about WWE. Now AEW has their own little things that drive everyone crazy.
Oh, absolutely.
But, you know, they're like new. But isn't that a part of the game? You know, like you do. If you're going to be a part of it, there has to be negatives at scale with what you're doing. So it makes sense. Let's talk about these All Elite Wrestling ratings before we jump into this Saudi Arabian.
I like this comment right here, though. I like this Ricky Castillo comment. Y'all act like you didn't watch wrestling back in the 90s. Imagine if social media existed back then.
It'd be worse.
Absolutely.
I'm glad there was no smartphones and social media when I was in college.
Dude, you imagine during the Monday Night War having social media, just people shitting on WCW or people shitting on WWF. Oh
Hashtag
my God.
Vince fears Bischoff.
Oh, that would have been
Vince fears this person fears this person.
Oh man, let's get into the ratings, man. Jeremy,
So many
ratings.
tweets. So many tweets will be deleted.
Brandon Thurston, the ratings guru, thanks to him at WrestleNomics earlier in the day before the ratings dropped, he indicated a very interesting statistic that TBS, if you tuned in a minute or two before AEW, has Big Bang Theory leading in, because typically TBS will play Big Bang Theory from say 6 to 9 Central. Most nights, a lot of nights they play Big Bang a lot, and it gets big ratings. So it's a big lead in compared to what TNT would have with a random movie or your SVU or whatever they would put on beforehand. So they have already so they got a strong lead in on TBS, and then of course the very first episode on TBS, very well done, over 1 million, just barely over 1 million, but they got over 1 million with a 0.43.
It was a good show last night.
It was 0.43 in the demo, which is a strong demo rating as well, and over 1 million viewers. So pretty good. Plus, I mean, you can't, when you switch networks, the casual fan, as much as you think it's an obvious thing, they may not think about it and know, oh, it's on a different network, so it is kind of a challenge moving to a different network, and they succeeded last night.
And I was surprised that they really only started ramping up the promotion for this just a few weeks ago. You think this would have been like one of those WWE things where, everyone gets mad about, why are they doing this? They're saying this thing over and over again. So So they have to say it to you. We've heard this before in marketing studies and different things. You have to say something 12 times to a common consumer of broadcast media for them to hear it and buy it. Yeah. Think about that. 12 times. You wouldn't go see a movie until you heard about it 12 times. Technically, you probably forget that you even heard about it 12 times.
Yeah.
So in that regard, I think AEW is narrow focused, but still their narrow is still very, very large. And that wrestling has such a big audience, and they've carved out their niche is still more than a few million people watching every single
They got a
week.
base.
Yeah.
They got a base.
The demo
to the base.
The demo was right there with Raw this week. So obviously SmackDown is going to be king. That demo was insane on SmackDown, but
SmackDown's only going to get bigger. You have less sports competition though too.
Yeah.
You're only going to have the NBA and big games with them.
Yeah, so right up there with Raw on the demo. Probably the closest they've been with. They were with Raw about a month or two ago, but other than that, Raw's kind of separated a little bit in the fall. But now AEW is kind of catching up on the demo.
I wonder where Raw's going to be going into WrestleMania. It kind of always gets a bump. They always maybe have a big name or two, or certain angles kind of get a little bit more compelling. It's WrestleMania season. There is that like eking interest. You had SmackDown go up nearly 9% week to week with Brock, and the bump from day one. So it proved they moved the needle with that.
Yeah.
Now I wonder if where it's a different structure. There's no build to, as we mentioned, pay-per-views every month. It's a long-term storytelling. Yeah. There's bound to be those weeks where it's, this is a really fun match, but didn't feel the stakes. Didn't feel the escalation. And it's hard for them to keep that because they don't have, all right, we're building to the payoff here. All right, here are a couple weeks where we're cooling things off before we have to do it again, And that's where they did 6-7 month storylines and stuff like that. They're the antithesis of what WWE's doing.
Yeah, and one more statistic from Thurston is they're 18 to 34, fourth highest in the history of the program. So the 18 to 34 demo was in over 2 years, and it landed fourth highest on the first episode of TBS.
I want to see how many people watch the show for the first time.
It's bringing in that young audience now.
Yeah. I want to see I want to see like what type of crowd is watching this for the first time, or you have those cable systems where it's easier to find TBS than it is TNT, and what that did to it as well. So
yeah, I remember the old school cable, like TBS would be on 16 and TNT was all the way at 38.
Superstation
back in the day.
Superstation certainly be interesting as well to see where these things kind of play out. Obviously, big shout out to Ray Phoenix, who suffered a very, very serious injury on this week's All Elite Wrestling Dynamite. I know you covered this on the debrief. That looked gnarly.
No broken bones, though.
No broken. It was just an extreme dislocation.
It looked very, very brutal on television.
Nasty.
It was quite nasty. And then the report coming in that it was with extreme dislocation, as you mentioned. So good to hear that. Hopefully you avoid surgery or a long recoup, but that looked very, very gnarly, to say the least.
It really did.
So he avoided that here as well. And then big things on the horizon. Before we wrap up here, what is this WWE Saudi Arabia news?
Fightful Select dropped this afternoon news. They confirming Andrew Zarian from Matt Minn's report that the Saudi Arabia show is now going to be planned for February 19th. Fightful has heard that a February date has been in order for months now, dating back to the last show that was held in Saudi Arabia. And as of now, staff and talent have the date in their internal calendars as February 19th, which is a Saturday. So that'll a lot of people in the fandom will applaud, because a lot of people are loving the Saturday shows, and so that's going to be the
daytime show on a Saturday.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
I'll wake up in time for it. Maybe.
We got a comment here from Yuri Genes watching us on Facebook. So yes, if you guys didn't know, we started a brand new Facebook page on our Sportskeeda Wrestling called Sportskeeda All Elite. So now we are broadcasting the debrief on that Facebook page. So if you're a faithful and a loyal Facebook watcher and normally get the debrief on our Sportskeeda Wrestling, just make sure you head on over to the Sportskeeda All Elite page, all right? Set the notification to see first, so that way when we go live next Wednesday night, you get the notification. I saw a bunch of you guys just sounding off. Why didn't I get a notification? Why wasn't it on Square? It's because we started broadcasting on the All Elite page. So make sure you guys do that right now. Thank you. Again, sorry to interrupt you guys, but let's get out of here.
Yeah. And so other people in it too as well. Bunch of content coming, by the way. You know,
Victor Nash asking, are you guys going to watch MLW Azteca tonight? Hell yes, I'm going to catch that.
I have so much
Underground
wrestling.
rebooted, bro.
I have so much wrestling to catch up on. I have Wrestle Kingdom to watch. I have a New Japan World subscription.
I still got to watch Wrestle Kingdom. Jesus.
Yeah, I got to catch. So there's a lot of wrestling. 3 nights of New Japan this week. You have we have another night of it coming up here in a day or two. We have SmackDown. We have
When does that start tonight?
No, this will be the 8th. It isn't tonight. So they did the 4th, 5th. And they're doing
Azteca is tonight on YouTube at 8 p.m.
I'm confused. I thought we were talking about New Japan.
Yeah.
so much wrestling.
So much wrestling, but
and there's an Impact pay-per-view this weekend. There's so much to follow here, man. By the way, speaking of Impact, we just dropped an interview on our YouTube channel with Josh Alexander. Him talking to our very own Raju. That is up there as well. A fresh clip as well from the Bro Show with Diamond Dallas Page and Vince Russo talking about the conflict between Eric Bischoff and Tony Khan. That is up right now. Bro Show is an exclusive airing on our Instagram first live, and you can catch that coming up tonight at 10:30 Eastern, 9:30 Central. And then we'll have clips of that up on our YouTube as well. But if you want to see it first live, go get it on our Instagram if you're following us there as well. So much going on as well. You can check us out on our podcast feeds. Thank you for once again putting us in the top 100 Apple Wrestling Podcasts as well. You guys can follow us on the Twitter machine at Jose_G_official. You can follow Jeremy at JB Huskers. You can follow me at Kev Kellam. And if you haven't done already, go and follow SK Wrestling _. So much going on here. We're going to be back. We're going to have a lot more content. Special stuff with Royal Rumble coming up. What do you need to say, boys? Get in there.
Yeah, guys, as always, just remember, when you're watching wrestling, you have to do the most important thing, which is enjoy it. Enjoy wrestling.
Yeah.
Yeah. Talk to him.
Yeah, let me talk to you.
Talk to him.
Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out.